Welcome back for another episode of Film Files Podcast. This is Mike, and I'm Josh.
Hey.
Today we're going to be reviewing all the movies that have premiered and gone through the first quarter of the year.
That's right.
So let's get right to it.
Before we jump into it, just to let everybody know, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, and the Insta, you can follow us at Southampton Prod. Sounds a little weird. Southampton Productions. It is Southampton Prod on
Like
the
a
social
cattle
media
prod.
accounts. Like a cattle prod. Okay, let's just jump right into it, guys. Quarter one review. It started off a little slow this year. We didn't get to as many films as we would have liked to. If you got to some of these and want to chime in, let us know how they were.
Please do.
Let us know on the Snapchat. Or whichever one.
Or the Insta,
Thumb
or the
up us.
Twitter, whatever you want to do.
Guys, January's best films list. Hidden Figures, Split, Resident Evil Final Chapter, the Moana Sing-Along was released, which was awesome. Just fantastic.
I remember seeing you there when I brought the twins. You were alone in the dark, singing your little heart
I
away.
don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Guys, for me, of the films that were released in January, Hidden Figures was my favorite. It's one of those films that like totally could have gone one way, like politically being divisive or have the racist elements of the film just totally overpowering. It wasn't. It was just a great film of a couple of really amazing, incredibly smart women that just, man, you were just going right along with them with all their struggles and watching all that they were accomplishing. A really, really good film. Not one that like, it's not one like, oh, you're going to love it so much you're going to cry. I mean, it was really, really good, but just a solid film. For me, that was the best film of January.
Well, and it's like space and NASA and that stuff that I really enjoy. So
Right. The background elements to it were just spot on, and you just absolutely loved the characters going with them. I mean, that's for me. There were a couple other movies that were released. I mean, a lot of people liked Split. For me, I had a hard time getting into wanting to go see it just because it's another M. Night film. And I mean, he's burned the bridge so many times that I just couldn't feel safe crossing it.
when we even had this conversation before we went and saw Rings, is that it was like, should we see Split? We heard possibly good things about it, or should we have fun and go see Rings? But ultimately, it came down to let's go with a safer bet and go see Rings.
Yeah, for us, the sequel to the Ring movie was, that was the safe bet compared to another M. Night Shyamalan movie. And like honestly, after the last Airbender movie that he made, just I couldn't want to. I can't want to.
Maybe we can talk about that in another podcast episode.
Yeah, we'll rant about the last Airbender live action film later.
Yeah. Moving on.
February, guys. February was a good month. We did see Rings. I got out to see the Lego Batman movie. Pretty decent cartoon. It was fun. It's funny. Another good, fun film that a lot of people enjoyed, a good adventure, was actually The Great Wall with Matt Damon.
It got really well received internationally. Didn't do super great here, but sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it did well enough here. You would be surprised at how many people that went to go see it just raved about it, and I have to say it that way because I didn't actually make it to it. We were really, really bad about getting out to the theater this first quarter. That's going to change going forward, but yeah, The Great Wall was good. Now, we went and saw Rings, and we enjoyed it, we liked it, but I have to say, A Cure for Wellness also came out, and the film Get Out.
Oh, those two movies look so good.
They were excellent.
Oh, man.
So Get Out was that movie that was like the black guy is dating the white girl, and he's gonna go see her parents for the first time, go to the town that's just in the middle of like Connecticut or Maryland or something like that, and just such a
Super
good film. Very good film. It's one of those films that's financially successful too, in the way that like it didn't cost that much to make, and it's like you don't need to spend just gobs and gobs of money. And I guess $10 million isn't gobs and gobs of money anymore.
Yeah.
released on a film,
Yeah.
but it made like 6 or 8 times its costs back in the opening weekend.
Wow.
That is a successful film. And the previews to it, I gotta say, one of my favorite parts about cinema are the previews. The previews to that, like, they totally get you hooked.
Yeah, in fact, I've got the Q1 box office stuff right here. Get Out made 158 million total.
Man.
So, made a lot of money. In opening weekend, they made, 33 million. So,
Wouldn't you know that 50 Shades Darker beat out John Wick Chapter 2? Huh.
Interesting.
John Wick Chapter 2 also came out. When did that come out? Was that February? Yeah, it was. If you're into that sort of thing, Keanu Reeves at his best, shooting a bunch of people trying to have a fist fight with him, then that is definitely the show for you.
Sure.
Seemed pretty good. I didn't go see it. We're going to talk about Get Out and A Cure for Wellness later on in another podcast, just because, man, we have to actually go see those ones. I want to see A Cure for Wellness. I love the ethical controversy movies, the ones where it's like, do we go down this road? Do we not? Just.
And we'll talk about that a little bit later in some of our movies upcoming in this next quarter, too.
Let's jump ahead to March.
Yep.
March is the month we just left, as this podcast is being filmed in April.
Yeah. Logan did super well. It was very well received.
Rated R X-Men film.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like a pretty solid film, well received. If you're into the X-Men storyline, it seemed a lot of those people were really satisfied with it. If you're not, like, if you're like me and you didn't even make it to Apocalypse, then you're not missing out on much.
Yeah. I think it was kind of it was the final Wolverine movie for Hugh Jackman to say, this is for our more diehard fans out there, and let's pay homage to the character of Logan, I think. I think it was a really good way to go out doing that. Yeah,
definitely. Another film that came out in March was the Kong Skull Island movie, which is definitely a new franchise film. They're rebooting all the old monster movies, which I guess is pretty cool, and it was really well received. People liked it. Like, it was a solid flick. I don't know. Okay, so you got Logan, you got Kong Skull Island. Obviously, the number one film of the entire first quarter for me and for everybody else in the free world would be Beauty and the Beast, the live-action movie. Look, we're just going to have to get over Emma Watson's auto-tune.
Yep.
Let's just get over it, get past it, and we realize that it was actually really well done. One of the things I have to say that really sold it for me was how closely it stayed to the old cartoon story that we all loved from Disney way back in the day. Like, just...
Well, and that's what they did with Jungle Book, too, and I think that is the key to success, is not changing it too much. Which, interestingly enough, little tidbit, for Mulan, apparently it's not going to be a musical.
Really?
Yep. No musical numbers. So that's news.
There was a live-action Mulan movie that was shot not too long ago.
In China.
It
was very well received.
Very good film.
We need to cover that, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to spoil it. The main, like, takeaway, the main story element that they had in it was this idea of being a virgin to the horrors of war, and what that would have been for Mulan to be in her first real battle, that just the intimate relationship that she then developed with war just from the first battle, and then on from there, how that would have actually impacted her. So that's what the story was from the film that they shot in China. It's going to be really cool to see what it's going to be now that Disney's revamping it into the live action film. But yeah, as far as March goes, Beauty and the Beast.
Power Rangers did really well among my friends. I haven't seen it yet. Probably wait for it to come out on Redbox, but...
So there are a couple of movies that are definitely like that for me in the first quarter. Power Rangers is one. I'm going to wait until it's available for a download or Redbox. Kong for me is the same way. Coming back the month before. I mean, the Great Wall is that way. Yeah. I want to see it. I just don't think I'm going to make it to theaters. And the reason for it is because, I mean, we're past the first quarter now. We're into the second quarter. January and February is a little slow for film, which is why we didn't really get off the couch all that well. We watched a lot of Netflix.
Yes, we did.
And we enjoyed it. But now it is time to get back to the theater, and wouldn't you know it, let's take you into the next quarter to let you know what you should definitely be getting excited about. In April, you have what could be the last or third to last Fast and Furious film, The Fate of the Furious, where everybody betrays everybody. You don't know who to trust, and more cars are driven super fast. There will be some races, but the whole real story is that these guys are involved in so much criminal activity, you don't know if they're good guys or bad guys.
I agree. No, I don't know how they're still making these movies.
And people keep going.
And every time I hear Vin Diesel talk about what the production process is for these, it's always like, we just wrapped. Oh, we started right away on the next one. And it's like, I mean, I'm fine if that's your thing. Like, I like the Jonas Brothers, so I know that's my thing. Who knew?
I did not know that about you.
Yeah. But so anyways, what I'm saying is, I don't know how it's happening, but apparently there's people out there that love it. So
Look, it's a good series. It's like you don't have to go any further than you want to into it.
right.
So there you are. So that's coming out in April. 2 more films that are coming out in April that look pretty sweet. The first one I'm really excited about, and that's called The Promise.
And what's this one about? I don't know if I've seen the trailers or heard anything about it.
Yeah, this is the Armenian genocide, where it has something to do with Turkey, Armenia, a whole bunch of Christians getting killed. It's the reason why we have the word genocide. I mean, there's so much.
So this was
history
like
to this.
before even the Holocaust, then?
Yeah, this is before Hitler and the Nazis. This is quite a bit
Wow.
before. This is a big deal, and it's like the genocide that happened that you've never heard about, and finally they're making a film about it. What's really interesting about this, and we'll talk more about it when this film comes up, which it's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
This month, is that not only is it an intriguing story based on true history about what happened, but the behind the scenes, like the process it took to actually make this film, is probably the more intriguing part of this. It was supposed to be made a long time ago. Like, there was a film it was going to be a film a long time ago. There was a production that was currently ongoing, and Turkey caught wind of it and got pissed because they were kind of on the wrong side of history with it. And
Interesting.
threatened to boycott and get everybody in that region to boycott the film, and it worked. That the production studio at the time backed down, but it always kind of just hung out behind the curtains, in the shadows for a long time, until now, finally, they're just making it, and they're going for it. And it's like,
Nice.
it's the Armenian genocide story. It's the reason why we have the word genocide. And I mean, even Adolf Hitler, when his advisors were like, "Are you sure that we can do these sort of things to the Jews, with the Holocaust and everything?" He goes, "Well, look at the Armenian genocide. The Christians didn't do anything there. What are they going to do about us doing anything to the Jews?" So it's like, whoa, big history. So you
Nice.
and that's like, okay, so what are you going to see? The Fate of the Furious or The Promise? Now that I've guilted you into it, go see The Promise.
Okay, I will. It's done.
There's another movie.
Yeah, this movie looks really good, and this kind of goes into our ethics conversation earlier.
3 good movies in April: Fate of the Furious, The Promise, and the third, The Circle. The Promise, The Circle. Wow, it's like love is in the air. Everybody's getting married. Circles, promises. Actually, The Circle is about Emma Watson. Her character goes into a social media company in Silicon Valley. It's being ran by Tom Hanks. Emma Watson, Tom Hanks. This is going to be good, guys. She's not going to be auto-tuned, so that's like a bonus. And
We're happy about that.
And it's one of those ethical movies, which I love, the ethical twists and the moral dilemma films. I get such a kick out of those. Like, one of my favorite films of all time was so there's Thank You for Smoking and Runaway Jury. I love those films, and they play on quite a few ethical themes, which are fantastic for me. But it's like, it's going to be thought-provoking. It goes into the social media world that we have and pushing boundaries with privacy and personal freedom.
Which comes at a really interesting time, given
Yes.
that all of our online privacy is now being sold.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do your research, figure out what's going on there,
Yeah.
and let us know what you find out. Tweet us at Southampton Prod. Prodding like a cattle prod. Okay,
And
guys.
then we've got May, which is chocked full of good stuff. So first off, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
So
which
excited.
I'm so excited for.
Oh man,
So excited.
the first one was so great, and we have
So
such
good.
high
Oh
expectations
my
for the second.
gosh.
And I'm not worried at all.
No,
I was worried for Beauty and the Beast. I'm not worried for Guardians 2.
no. I expect to go in and to be fully pleased,
Mm-hmm.
even with high hopes.
If you're into the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the next one's coming out in May. Looks pretty good. You got a lot of the cast returning to it. So you
Well,
got
and
that
did you
one
see
going.
what they did? They superimposed a younger Johnny Depp onto another actor, kind of like what
General Tark?
Yeah, and they also did it with Tony Stark in Civil War in the very
Yes.
beginning. ILM has been Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's special effects company, has been working on this technology, and I guess Disney has been the one to really implement it. So when I saw that in this latest trailer, I was blown away technologically at them being able to reproduce that.
God, could you imagine if they did that with Tom Hanks in that movie about what is it? The Tom Hanks played Walt Disney.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was about this is why I should
Saving Mr. Banks.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Yep, that's
yes. Could you imagine if they had that technology back then? Because Tom Hanks did an amazing job with it. And then if they were to have hooked him up with one of that, and you actually saw Walt Disney,
That would be intense.
that's like
Well, and
really cool.
that plays into the whole ethics conversation too, because a lot of people were saying, well, we can revive dead actors or dead people by doing it this way. And so anyways, that's a conversation that we can get into later.
Yeah, not in this podcast. We need to talk about what to get excited about. Guardians of the Galaxy's coming out in May.
Mhm.
Pirates of the Caribbean's coming out. And now another King Arthur movie, Legend of the Sword. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this one. It looks like it's pretty good production values, but it's another retelling of a story that we've had again and again and again. I don't know how much longer we can go on retelling the same stories.
You kind of getting burnt out on it.
A little burnt out, and I like retelling stories in new ways where you can look at things in a new light. But that's why I'm really excited about like the Spider-Man movie that's coming out in July, Spider-Man Homecoming, because we don't have to watch Peter Parker get bit by a spider again. He's already Spider-Man, and we can move on to a new adventure. And
You don't have to watch the origin story play out over and over again.
Yes, and that's the thing that we've talked about this before. That bothers me about DC is we've seen way too many origin stories. I mean, Suicide Squad was just a montage of origin stories, but I mean, the beginning part of that show was really cool.
All right, let's move on to June.
Yes.
So we have Wonder Woman coming out, which I have not been excited for a DC movie as much as I am for this since like Superman.
But
It's been a long time.
Let me ask you a question,
Okay,
you
please.
super sexist. Would you have wanted to go see Wonder Woman 10 years ago?
Honestly, probably not, because there probably wasn't a good... What was out 10 years ago?
Okay, so Harry Potter, Order of the Phoenix, The Bourne Ultimatum, I Am Legend, and Transformers.
I think I probably would have gone and seen it if it looked good enough, but I don't think I would have taken it as seriously as I'm taking it now. And that's partially because it's not because I'm sexist or don't like feminism or anything like that. It's just that specifically in films, it's for women. How do I say this carefully?
Go ahead, sexist.
So I think for this type of role, you couldn't have done it 10 years ago. I mean, you could have done it 10 years ago, but anytime before that, you couldn't have done it very comfortably. And I don't think it would have gotten as successful. We're in a generation now where strong female leads, the Joss Whedon signature, is what people are clamoring for. And I think that's why it's doing so well. I don't think it's necessarily because of my point of view or because of necessarily anyone in specific, but I think it's just that audiences are more open to that and they don't see it in the kind of limelight of hokiness anymore. We take these things a lot more seriously.
And we have to realize too that Wonder Woman is part of the DC universe. And I mean, we've heard it before. I mean, Cameron, who's part of our team, has said that Wonder Woman was the best part of Batman vs. Superman. I don't know if his wife knew that. But
I just feel like Gal Gadot fits that role so well too.
Yeah, she does. And the previews for it, I mean, we can talk about previews some more. The previews for it look awesome. If you haven't seen the previews for Wonder Woman, go to them. But I'm just looking at movies from back in 2007, and I'm looking for strong female lead movies. You've got like Freedom Riders, which is just a teacher. You've got Enchanted. And
But Enchanted kind of plays into that princessy, hokey female type of, at the time, I don't know.
You ready for this? Juno and the Golden Compass.
Oh.
And we know how I feel about the Golden Compass.
Yeah, Golden Compass was an excellent film.
And that's pretty much it.
All right, so moving on. Okay, The Mummy reboot again
With Tom Cruise.
with Tom Cruise.
Now, I
Interesting.
like Tom Cruise, but for me, I just feel like it's Tom Cruise, so it's going to be at least 5 stars, but it's not going to get better than an 8.5 for me.
See, I don't know that I'm that excited for it because I liked the Brendan Fraser reboot until they replaced his wife with a different actress, and then it seemed really stupid. And then we were doing some kind of China thing, and the storyline was just really weird. I don't know, but I really liked that reboot of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the reboot. But it makes me feel like people are running out of ideas to make movies.
I mean, Wonder Woman we're excited about for June. The Mummy we're probably going to go see. There's Cars 3 that's coming out, so for animated shows, movies for kids. The previews for that one made me want to go see it. I didn't want to go see Cars 2. Cars 3, I actually want to go see just because that preview was just so epic.
Okay, let me talk about that for a sec. So the reason why the preview grabs you and makes you want to see it has to do with a really cool kind of editing technique where they're, and we're seeing this a lot more from Disney, especially with their established franchises, is that something huge is happening and you're not seeing the main components of what that are. So like in this preview, you see Lightning McQueen tossing through the air. He's obviously crashed. You never see his face and you never know if he's like hurt or dead, and you don't see him talking or anything throughout the rest of that initial tease or trailer, and that in and of itself makes you be like, what's happened to this great character that I love? Or I mean, they've done it with other films too, or like even with Pirates, we know that Will Turner's going to be in Pirates, but we haven't seen him yet in any of the previews except for I think maybe this last one he was teased. I don't know.
Well, but it really brings back that idea of a teaser trailer where you have no idea what's going to happen. And so when everybody goes into that movie, they have no expectation of the storyline. And all they have is just one tiny detail that is a hook. But you have no idea what happens before or after that. You don't know if that's the end of the movie. You don't know if that's the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love previews like that.
Yeah.
I mean, love it. Okay, bringing us back in, let's just kind of wrap things up a little bit.
Okay.
Just real quick, one last thing with June, couple of comedies coming out. You've got Rough Night, which seems cute, and then The House, Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler. If you're into them, if you're into their kind of stuff they've been doing lately, it's not going to disappoint. But is it really? It's an R-rated flick. Is it really something that's going to attract new viewers to it?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
For me, Will Ferrell was at his best in Zoolander, Stranger Than Fiction. His early work in Saturday Night Live. I don't know. If you're into him still, go out and see that one. But let me ask you a question, Josh.
Okay, ask.
Because the audience has been asking.
They have.
Yes. Going forward into the second quarter,
Mm-hmm.
if you were to pick just one movie to go see each month, what would be the one movie you would do? Starting with April.
The Promise, because historical kind of Holocaust type stuff interests me a lot. And I think it's good to be aware of those types of issues going on. And then for May, I would definitely go see Guardians of the Galaxy because I'm way too excited to see that.
Over Pirates?
Yeah, unfortunately.
For me, it's a no-brainer.
It's
That's with
slightly,
Fortunate.
Yeah. And then...
With Fortunate?
I don't know.
Move on.
Yeah, then for June, it'll definitely... I'm going to go a little different here. I'm going to say Cars 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Cars 3.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with your twins?
No, has nothing to do with them.
Okay. Oh, man. I don't know what I'm going to do in June.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay. For me in April, I mean, I know I guilted you into The Promise, but I'm actually going to go controversial and say I want to go see The Circle. I know I talked up The Promise a lot with all the history and everything, and I will go see it, but if I were to see just one of those films, it would be The Circle. It just feels a little bit closer to home, and I just can't get enough of those controversial ethics movies.
Nice.
In May, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, hands down. And in June, I'm going to go see Wonder Woman. I'm going to bite. I'm going to go see if it's all it's cracked up to be.
I'll see it with you. Don't worry.
Yep. And I'm going to go in with lower expectations than I did with Beauty and the Beast.
So talking about quarter 1, we did 6 podcast episodes. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it's good for us.
We talked a lot about everything from, our Rings and Tim Timmerman review and Sherlock to the history of Batman.
Oh, by the way, let me pause you right there.
Okay.
Tim Timmerman.
Yeah.
I went national. We did it.
Yeah.
You and me.
Good job, peeps.
Good job.
You did it.
It's all thanks to you. So you did it.
Sequels and how to watch. I think we've had some success thus far.
Good quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we looking forward to next quarter?
Oh, we are covering the ins and outs of the Marvel Entertainment universe.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely going to take a dive into the inner workings of how they are actually going about putting all their amazing work together, and a little different take than what you normally see.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a good 2-parter episode for us to do. It'll probably be a double episode that we'll do.
Also, a little bit of a guide into the rating system. We kind of have to talk about this. It's coming up in conversations a lot these days. And it's like movie ratings, how do we get them? Do they really mean anything anymore? It's just, it's something that we're going to have to talk about. And that's what we have going forward in the near future.
Yeah, I think too, we'll want to probably highlight some of the movies that we talked about. We'll get more into those things. And if there's anything that you guys want to hear from us, please let us know. We'll also be, this is a good time to announce, we're also going to be starting a Patreon. So if you'd like to support us there, we've got some awesome exclusive bonuses for our patrons on Patreon. We'll be doing some live streaming and having maybe you on our next podcast. So check us out on Patreon. That'll be live shortly.
Yeah, definitely check us out. Thanks for joining us this week, everybody. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.